Energy and Blockchain for Climate Action.
Thanks a lot, Jane, and it's great to be here with you all. I hope you're having a great start to the second day of the AIBC Summit. I'd like to invite my panelists here. We have with us Marco Funk, who is the CEO at decarb, which is an ecosystem aligning the stakeholders of decarbonization in smart contract financing and on-chain carbon offset tracking. I have Gregor Novak with us. Gregor, if you could just come to the stage, please, who's the co-founder and president at Suncontract, which is a P2P energy trading platform focusing on energy transition to renewables using blockchain technology. And we have Davorin Kralj, who's the founder and CEO at the Institute of Creative Management and co-founder at 𝐒𝐭𝐲𝐬𝐬, besides being an academic with years of experience as an international speaker. So I'm Shafeeq Qureshi, your moderator for the session. I'm a founder at Solix, which is an advisory and consulting firm focusing on the crypto and blockchain space. I'm also building the 𝐒𝐿𝐷.com, a platform to curate and connect early-stage Web3 and crypto projects with investors. I used to be working in the energy sector in the past, based out of London, energy and banking and financial markets. And like some of you here, I moved to Dubai a few years ago and have been part of this growing community of entrepreneurs in Dubai and part of this beautiful and vibrant city. So if you don't mind, I'll just stand here because I've just had a bit of back issues. Now, the panel discussion is about energy and blockchain for climate action, and there are very big words in that title. As we know, these are all important aspects of technology and concerns for the world when it comes to climate action. I think we're pretty late, and the gentlemen here in this panel, some of them are building platforms that are helping cut a lot of those issues, or at least address a lot of those issues. So we'll be touching a few subjects here in this topic, and I'll just highlight some of them. So Marco and Gregor and Davorin, they've been focusing on various aspects of the clean energy spectrum. As we know, clean energy sources have a much lower environmental impact to fossil fuels and are a key part of the sustainability development goals, specifically the SDG 7 of the United Nations. And by transforming to clean energy sources, we can significantly reduce our greenhouse gas emissions and mitigate the impacts of climate change. So in this session, we shall be looking at the various aspects, the challenges of the energy space, and how the convergence of blockchain-based technologies with the world of clean energy and carbon credits can help in tackling climate change. And we have the title, which is Energy and Blockchain for Climate Change, but we decided to narrow down because it's a very broad topic. So we'll be focusing primarily on how blockchain can facilitate a transition to cleaner energy, to avoid a climate crisis. So without further ado, I'd like to open the session and start with the questions. But before that, I think it'll be good to have introductions from your sides. Why don't we start with you, Marco?
Hello. Hi, my name's Marco Christopher Funk. Before you ask, I don't get $1 every time Uptown Funk plays on the radio. And yes, I'm the CEO of decarb.earth. It's a bit in the name. We help decarbonize the Earth's atmosphere. How do we do that? We optimize the funding of clean energy projects, and as a part thereof, we also track the carbon offsets and sell them on.
Thanks, Marco. Gregor, if you could go next, please. I think you'd have to switch off on your mic, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gregor Novak. I'm coming from Suncontract. Yes, I'm actually in energy space already 23 years, coming from energy, getting into blockchain and getting into services we built on top of blockchain for energy sector. So that's actually, we combine this everything in purpose for making our customers, the people, companies, industry, self-sufficient and sustainable. So this is the goal, is coming together with the needs of this planet, and we are doing this in this way.
Davorin, if you could please take the opportunity to invite to.
Good afternoon. Nice to meet you here. I'm glad to share with you some ideas. I'm for a long time in chemistry, so chemistry is very connecting with natural care and natural protection. I'm professor for 30 years, special in environmental business excellence, but in both sides, in the practical and in the theoretical. And in theoretical, I will tell you something how we can be self-sufficient with the energy and what is our ideas, how to save the energy, how we can manage with the clean energy, and this will be the point of view.
Thanks, Davorin. So before I start, giving out the questions, I'd like to clarify something. Obviously, blockchains have been blamed for a lot of negative impact because of their energy consumption. So, that has been a big concern, but I think, as we know, as most of us know, with the Ethereum 2.0 and moving to proof of stake, a lot of those concerns have been allayed. I mean, we can touch that subject if we have the time, but just to clarify some things. So, my first question would be about the current, state of this energy sector and how it's contributing towards, greenhouse gases. So the question is for you, Marco. I'll start with you. How bad is the current state of the fossil-based energy sector due to its contribution of GHG gases, and how important and urgent is the switch to clean energy? Obviously, your focus is on clean energy, so if you could highlight those aspects, please.
Well, clean energy is exceptionally important that we transition over to that, because if you actually do the calculations, and the World Resource Institute did that, it comes to around 72% indirectly and directly that energy contributes to carbon emissions. So energy is really the crux of the issue. And in terms of urgency, we were at 280 parts per million CO2 in the atmosphere around 150 years ago. We're at 420 now. The scientific consensus is that 450 is really the sort of the point of no return, where negative feedback loops start kicking in. And we've got around 10 years' time to really avoid that threshold. So as far as I'm concerned, the concept of life is the most phenomenal thing that ever came to be. I know of no other planets that harbor life. So we really have to be all hands on deck to try contribute as much as possible to that transition over to clean energy.
So that is, that's scary. 72% of the greenhouse gas emissions are coming from all the current fossil-based energy sources.
Yeah, directly and indirectly, it's important to emphasize. Yeah,
and
it's the foundation.
Definitely, that sort of sets the discussion for focusing on clean energy. And that brings me to the next question for you, Gregor, because you're also focusing on some aspects of clean energy and how to improve this whole space. So what are the challenges in the current energy markets that you see, and how can blockchain create a more decentralized energy sector with a focus on clean energy, carbon credits, and whatever that we need to focus on?
Yeah, thank you. You have seen how energy is important. Maybe if you remember last year, let's say, especially in Europe, we saw the high energy prices because of this war in Ukraine and the gas reduction coming to Europe. So the energy prices just went up to 1,000 euro per megawatt hour. It's, let's say, 1 year before it was 50, 60 euro per megawatt hour. You can see what it means. It's just one thing, that there was not enough energy in certain time or certain period, and that's spiked the price. So why I'm talking this? Because we are on transition on the green energy, and we see here from Suncontract two approaches. One approach is like we saw in Paris and then in COP, when it's top-down approach, when people, the governments coming together and put good stuff actually to make governments policies that transition is able to come to green energy, to renewables, to solar, to hydro, to wind and so on. But we as a community, we see here essential part that we do also our job, that we engage community, that immunity is going directly to sustainability, to self-sufficiency. And that's the part where blockchain is coming. Because blockchain is actually the only one system that we can trust without any authority, which actually enables us that we trust each other. And also this can be used in energy sector, that we can engage community, that community going to the renewables, that the community can manage the energy, that community can, let's say for example, that you as a person can produce energy, use it and share your part to the, let's say, your neighbor, to the others in the country, or even other countries. So without blockchain, I don't see this is possible to do. And with blockchain, with all these business models which are top of the blockchain, we can engage community, people, companies. They can be part of this energy revolution.
Thanks. I think I remember working in the energy sector in London. That was a long time ago, and at that time we were not talking about blockchain, but we were already talking about liberalization, which created opportunities for smaller stakeholders, and then energy trading, different energy trading streams. But I guess with blockchain we have a much bigger opportunity, and in your case you're focusing on P2P, and we can touch that in the next few questions. But thanks for sharing that with us. So with you, Davorin, I think I would like to know your thoughts on this subject. You have a lot of experience in different fields, and I would like to know, whether it's blockchain or other technology that you think can facilitate a transition to a cleaner environment. And what do we need to, is there something else we need to do? I mean, is blockchain sufficient, or are we just riding the hype there?
I would like to point out again, because this is my field of research, that we need holistic approach.
If you could just speak a bit louder, please.
I would like to point out that blockchain is the tool which we never had in our history, but it needs also holistic approach. Because what happened with these tools, it is that we are going from central control to decentralization, because each of us can produce, sell, or use the energy. That's once. Then we need some contracts between us. Then we need to see it's really green energy. Is this from solar panels? And this we can make with blockchain. We can control, we have clear coordination, we have clear communication between us, we can talk from here to South Africa or somewhere, and we have visibility, we have clarity and everything, and that brings a contribution to green energy. That is my point of view. And what is also important, you have to be aware that this is very, very distributive for existing energy market, because this is not just the question in how many months will be this global energy transformation with the blockchain. So you be ready and be a part of the team on this, because you have opportunity that you can produce electricity with solar panels, you can charge your car, you can save in the storage and everything supporting with the blockchain.
Thank you. I think you mentioned Africa there, and that just triggered a thought in my head, because essentially we're all sharing the same atmosphere and the environment. And I think one of the challenges so far has been with a lot of the concerns with climate action, they've been very focused regionally, and I think technology can facilitate that and break some of those borders, both like like metaphorically and and in the way the business is concerned, basically. So I'll go to our next question for Marco. And you're basically this is your passion. You're an environmental entrepreneur, and you set up decarb for the same purpose. So I'd like to know, what are you doing at decarb, and how's your business making the supply chain for carbon credits, which are one of the key components of improving the space of climate change and GHG emissions? How are you using the supply chain for carbon credits more transparent, because transparency has been an issue? And how are you planning to have an impact on climate action through those initiatives?
Well, you just mentioned a minute ago about, we've got a single atmosphere, but we've got multiple different stakeholders when it comes to clean energy projects and just in general. And if you really had to sum up the problem of the world in a word, I'd say it's misalignment. I mean, it makes a lot of sense from any kind of aspect, even from an economic point of view. You do the net present value of a sustainable Earth, obviously, is much better than a net present value of an unsustainable habitat. And so what we focus on is being able to have that full transparent flow of funds because of the fact that we have one atmosphere. So if you have the likes of, like example, at the last COP27, the United Nations promised $8.5 billion towards South Africa, but the citizens of South Africa actually petitioned against the government and the monopoly energy provider, Eskom, receiving that funding because of the fact that you don't know where that funding is going to go. So what we do is the full transparent flow of funds. We use fractional loans to allow various different stakeholders to get involved, to align those stakeholders. As I mentioned, misalignment is a core issue. And referring to your question about carbon offsets, it's actually not too complicated. When you have energy readings, you can put those on chain and then you can work out the amount of carbon offset. The blockchain component means the data is immutable, and then you can actually have a verifiable carbon offset. I love trees. The problem is trees are going to take 20 years to grow, so we really have to do that transition over to clean energy as soon as possible.
And the time is now. We can't waste any more time, obviously. Just to mention, I think it's showing like we have 2 minutes, but we have 5 more minutes, as I understand, from Olga. So we'll continue with the questions. Now, my next question for you is, and if you could just keep the answers more specific so we can get as many questions covered, that'd be great. I'd appreciate it. So how can, Gregor, the question is for you, how can blockchain improve the business of carbon credits with tackling climate change? And I want to know how you at Suncontract are making that happen,
Yeah, we are actually in energy sector, and we want to be really concrete. It means Suncontract was actually first peer-to-peer worldwide peer-to-peer energy platform for energy trading from real customers. It means the consumer, one side are households, businesses, or industrial, everybody who needs energy, electricity. In the other side, we have renewable energy producers. These are solar producers, small hydro producers, cogenerations, and so on. So those producers and consumers meet in our platform where they decide by themselves the price and they decide what they are doing with their energy, in what conditions. So they don't need to calculate what will be the capacity, because renewables are volatile. This we do. We know how to calculate capacity and also the consumption, how to predict it. We use AI, we use machine learning, of course, we predict this very, very good. And then actually enable them, they just put a price. So they are actually their own masters of the price. Our business model is that we are not intermediate. So we removed intermediate. You know, in energy sector, where you're buying energy at home, from whom you're buying usually? If you're not buying, let's say in Slovenia, from us. You are buying from intermediate. They buy energy from some power stations and then selling to you. Do you know what price they're buying? No. You just know what price you are getting, and this usually a fixed price for 1 year, whatever contract you have. By us, you decide the price. With the consumer, you find the price. You can have more producers, and you are a consumer, and you can do more. You just click it on the platform, and you have it. So we are not intermediate. In this case, you can see we enable with blockchain people. They can from the production side, they like to invest more because they can go up and faster with no renewables and invest more.
We can continue with that discussion, but I think the main focus is on peer-to-peer energy trading. So it's like, I can buy energy directly from you without having to go through big companies.
Exactly.
And I guess, if anybody wants to know more about it, you can always contact Gregor after the session. We're just limited with time, unfortunately. So with Davorin, I would, I mean, let's forget blockchain. Let's forget, what we're talking about in terms of technology, or you can mention that as well. But what do you think, from your point of view, are the challenges that small stakeholders in different countries, like, people like farmers and small populations in developing countries are facing? And, and how, obviously, we've been talking about blockchain and tech, but generally, where do you see, I mean, what else do we need to do to make their lives better?
It is a great opportunity also for the small farmers or others, all of us here in the room, because we can produce the energy, can sell, can save it. But I would like to point out also that it's very, very easy and simple to manage with the contracts, because we have smart contracts. We can easily make these contracts. There is no bureaucracy and everything. But because time is up, I would like to point out one thing, because this is decentralization. How big complexity is that we are all now in this network. So we need intelligent network. We need good platforms. We need to save our identity in this big data. So we have to have still minimum of consensus how we will run this platform, because I can give you for free, or for a high price cannot, because there are many other competitors. So there are still some small questions, but I recommend each of you and all that join this big opportunity which we have in the future.
Thank you, Davorin. I'll just want to confirm, do we have some more minutes? Okay. Can we do any question answers? Or okay. So basically, I just give you a chance to maybe have your last sort of statement, maybe starting from Marco. What are the key points that you'd like to leave this session with and share with the audience? From you, from a point of view of decarb or...
The key point, I think, is it's actually too late to be a pessimist. The transition is happening. It's now just about us finding the means to accelerate it, and that everyone should really, get involved. It's the next 10 years is when, assuming that we make it to the next phase of human existence, which to date we still the only conscious life that we know of in the mind-blowing expanse of space that is the universe. They're going to look back at this 10 years. Did we do what we needed to do? And it's extremely logical. In 2/3 of the world's countries, it's cheaper to run on clean energy. So let's switch over. That's the core issue. Let's solve that core issue. It makes financial sense. It makes sense from any perspective. And that everyone plays their part.
Thanks a lot, Marco. So now is the time. Gregor, if you could just quickly, in one line or two lines, summarize what you'd like to say, and then we'd give.
Yes. Maybe for me the question is whether the green transition and sustainability on 100% renewables is possible or not, let's say, until 2050. I think yes, we know how to do this. Most of people think right now it's not possible without fossil fuels to do, but I think until 2050 it's possible, we know how to do it, and we will do it.
Thank you. And Davorin, some last words from you there?
Time is as energy, precious gift, so I will just say thank you to attend us and listen to us.
Thank you very much. I think this is a very significant topic, and we can just continue talking about it for the next few hours, but because of the lack of time, we'll have to wrap it up. You've been great panelists. Let's give a hand of applause to the panelists, guys, and thanks a lot for your sharing your views on this.